Welcome to this complete guide on modal verbs in English grammar. In this lesson, we are going to learn about modal verbs, also known as modal auxiliary verbs. These are special verbs that behave differently from regular verbs. We will explore modals like can, could, may, might, shall, should, will, would, must, and have to. By the end of this lesson, you will understand how to use each of these modals correctly in different situations. So, let us get started. So what exactly are modal verbs? Modals, also called modal auxiliary verbs, are special verbs that behave irregularly in English. They are quite different from normal verbs like work, play, or visit. Modal verbs give additional information about the main verb that comes after them. They serve many important functions in communication. Modal verbs are used to express permission, ability, obligation, prohibition, advice, possibility, probability, and necessity. The list of common modal verbs includes can, could, may, might, shall, should, ought to, will, would, must, and have to. Let us now look at each of these modals one by one. Let us begin with the modal verb can. The word can is one of the most commonly used modal verbs in English. It has several important uses. First, we use can to talk about ability. For example, I can swim well. This is a positive sentence showing that I have the ability to swim. If we want to make it negative, we say, I cannot swim well, or in short, I can't swim well. To form a question, we say, can you swim well? Now, the second use of can is to ask for permission in an informal way. For example, can I use your phone please, or can I open the windows, or can I leave now? These are informal ways of requesting permission. When giving permission, we simply say, yes, you can use my computer, or yes, you can open the windows, or we can give a short answer and say, yes, you can. Now, let us look at more uses of can. The fourth use is for making informal requests. For example, can I have a glass of water, please? Or, can I borrow your pen, please? We can also make requests directed at others, like, can you lend me some money, please? Or, can you say that again, please? The fifth use of can is to make an offer. For example, can I get you a drink? Or can I help you? Or can I carry your suitcase, sir? These are polite ways of offering help. The sixth and final use of can is to talk about general possibility. For example, you can earn a lot of money as a doctor. This means it is generally possible to earn well in that profession. Another example is, you can buy things online with a debit card. These sentences describe things that are generally possible. Now let us move on to the modal verb could. Remember, could is the past form of can. The first use of could is to talk about ability in the past. For example, I could swim fast when I was young. This means that in the past, I had the ability to swim fast. The negative form would be, I could not swim when I was a child, or I couldn't swim when I was a child. To ask a question, we say, could you swim when you were a child? The second use of could is to express past possibility, meaning something that really happened or did not happen. For example, in the positive form, I could come yesterday even though I had a fever. This means I was able to come despite being sick. In the negative form, I couldn't come yesterday because I had a fever. This means it was not possible for me to come. Could is also used for asking permission and making requests, but in a more formal way than can. When asking for permission formally, we say, could I use your phone please? Or, could I open the windows? Or, could I leave now please? Notice how could sounds more polite and formal compared to can. When giving permission using could, we say, yes, you could use my computer, or simply, yes, you could. For making formal requests, we use sentences like, could I have a glass of water please? Or, could I borrow your pen please? We can also direct the request to someone else, like, could you say that again please? Or, could you give me a lift to college? Remember, using could instead of can makes your request sound more polite and respectful. Now let us talk about the modal verb may. May is used in situations that require even more formality than could. First, for asking permission in a very formal way, we say, may I use your phone please? Or, may I open the windows? Or, may I leave now please? Or, may I speak to Mr. John please? You can see that may sounds very respectful and formal. When giving permission with may, we say, yes, you may use my computer, or yes, you may open the windows, or simply yes, you may. For making more formal requests, we say, may I have a glass of water please, or may I borrow your pen please, or may I know your name please. So remember, can is informal, could is formal, and may is the most formal way to ask for permission or make a request. May also has another important use, and that is to express probability. When we say, John may be at home now, we are saying there is a good chance that John is at home. Similarly, it may rain tomorrow means there is a higher probability of rain. Other examples include, she may come late today, and your purse may be in the bedroom. Now let us compare may with might. Might is the past form of may, but when used for possibility, it expresses a lower chance compared to may. For example, John might be at home now means there is a possibility, but it is less likely. It might not rain tomorrow suggests the chance of rain is quite low. The key difference to remember is this. May suggests a higher probability, while might suggests a lower probability. Both are used for uncertainty, but the level of certainty is different. Let us now look at shall. The modal verb shall has two main uses. The first use is for future actions. However, it is important to note that shall is not commonly used in modern everyday English for this purpose. Will has mostly replaced shall in daily conversations, but you may still come across sentences like, I shall go to Mumbai tomorrow, or I shall never forget you, or I shall be in Mumbai on Monday. The second and more common use of shall today is for making suggestions. We usually use shall in questions to suggest doing something. For example, shall I close the windows means, do you want me to close the windows? Other examples include, shall I stay here tonight, or shall we start the work, or shall we begin the dinner? Notice that shall is used with I and we in suggestion questions. Now let us discuss should and ought to. These two modals have the same meaning and can be used interchangeably. The first use of should is to express obligation from our own side. For example, I should be at work before 9:30. This means it is my duty to reach work on time. Other examples include, I should go to my office today and I should learn spoken English. In the negative, I shouldn't eat out very often. The second use is to give advice or make a recommendation. For instance, you should take an umbrella in case it rains. This is advice. You should eat low-fat foods. This is a health recommendation. You shouldn't smoke cigarettes. This is a strong piece of advice. The third use of should is to express expectation. When we say Peter should be in New York by now, we expect that Peter has already reached New York. The movie should be good means we expect the movie to be good based on what we know. Let us now look at the modal verb will. Will is one of the most important and widely used modals in English. It has four key uses. First, will is used to express future actions. For example, I will call you in an hour, or John will come next week, or I will be at home this evening. These sentences talk about actions that are going to happen in the future. Second, will is used for making predictions. For instance, I think John will be here by 8, or I think it will rain tomorrow, or I think India will win the match. These are our predictions about what we believe will happen. Third, will is used for making promises. For example, I will take care of your baby, or I will pick you up from the station, or I will help you with money. These are commitments and promises. Fourth, will is used for polite requests. For example, will you pass me the salt, please? Or, will you help me with some money? Or, will you post this letter for me? Now we come to would, which is the past form of will. Would has many uses. Let us start with conditionals. The first type is the past unreal conditional. These are situations that did not actually happen in the past. For example, if I had had time, I would have met you yesterday. The truth is, I did not have time, so I did not meet you. Another example, if I had had money, I would have bought a new car. The second type is the present unreal conditional. For example, if I had time, I would meet you now. The truth is, I do not have time right now. If I had money, I would buy a new car today. Would is also used for making polite offers. For instance, would you like some coffee? The reply could be, yes please, or would you like to join us for dinner? The reply might be, yes certainly. Using would makes offers sound very polite and courteous. Would has more uses. The sixth use is for asking permission politely. We use the phrase, would you mind for this? For example, would you mind if I eat something? The usual reply is, no, not at all. Another example, would you mind if I sit here? The reply might be, no, of course not. The seventh use is for making polite requests. For instance, would you mind closing the door, please? Or would you mind turning off the TV, please? Or would you do me a favor? Or would you drop me off at my college? These are all very polite ways of making requests. The eighth and final use of would is for expressing preference. We use the phrase would rather for this. For example, I would rather read a book than watch TV. This means I prefer reading over watching TV. I would rather walk than run. He would rather drink tea than coffee. Would rather always shows a preference for one thing over another. Now let us learn about have to and had to. Have to is used to express necessity in the present. It means something is required or compulsory. For example, I have to work today. This means it is necessary for me to work. I have to see the doctor. John has to wear a tie at work. Notice that when the subject is he, she, or it, we use has to instead of have to. Children have to go to school. In the USA, we have to drive on the right. Now, had to is the past form of have to. It is used when something was necessary in the past. For example, I had to get up early today. I had to work yesterday. I had to pay the fine because of you. I had to see the doctor because I felt very sick. In each of these sentences, there was a necessity or compulsion in the past that could not be avoided. Now let us look at the modal verb, must. Must is a very strong modal verb. It has three main uses. The first use is for strong obligation or necessity. When we use must, it is even stronger than have to. For example, I must go home now. This means it is absolutely necessary. I must buy a new phone. I must pay the tax this year. I must help her at any cost. These sentences show a strong sense of duty or urgency. The second use of must is for making strong recommendations. For example, you must take some rest. This is a very strong recommendation. You must stop smoking. You must drive carefully. You must wear a seatbelt while driving. These are things we strongly advise someone to do. The third use of must is to express certainty. For example, that must be John. This means we are quite certain that the person is John. It must have rained a lot last night. We see evidence and are almost sure about what happened. Now let us understand must not. While must expresses strong obligation, must not expresses prohibition. Prohibition means something is strictly forbidden or not allowed. For example, I must not go outside today. This means going outside is not permitted. You must not use your phone in class. This is a strict rule. You must not swim in that river. It is full of crocodiles. This is a warning and prohibition for safety reasons. You must not eat junk food. Passengers must not talk to the driver. These are all rules and prohibitions that should not be broken. Remember, must not is very strong. It is not the same as do not have to. Must not means it is forbidden, while do not have to means it is not necessary, but you can if you want. Now we come to a very important topic, and that is past modal verbs. Past modals are used to express your present feeling about a past decision or action. They are also used to talk about things that did not really happen in the past. Let us start with could have plus the third form of the verb. Could have is used when you had the ability to do something in the past, but you chose not to do it. For example, you could have done a degree, but you didn't do it. This means you had the ability and opportunity, but you did not take action. I could have taken that job, but I didn't take it. He could have come to the party, but he didn't come. Next, would have plus the third form of the verb. Would have is used when you did not have the ability or conditions to do something in the past. For example, you would have done a degree if you had had time. This means you wanted to, but you did not have the time. I would have taken that job if I was interested. The condition was not met, so the action did not happen. Let us continue with more past modal verbs. First, should have plus the third form of the verb. Should have is used when something was a good idea to do in the past, but you did not do it, regardless of whether you had the ability or not. For example, you should have done a degree. This means it was a good idea, but you missed the opportunity. I should have taken that job. You should have been more careful. These sentences express regret about past actions. Next, must have, plus the third form of the verb. Must have is used for logical assumptions. We believe the action definitely happened based on evidence. For example, she must have been at home. Her car was there. We see the car, so we are quite sure she was home. He must have left the house by now because it is 9:30. Finally, may have or might have, plus the third form of the verb. These are used for speculation about the past. For example, John may have done this. We are not sure, but it is possible. It might have rained last night. You might have left your purse at home. These express uncertainty about past events. Let us now quickly review everything we have learned in this lesson. We covered all the major modal verbs in English. Can is used for ability, informal permission, requests, offers, and general possibility. Could, the past form of can, is used for past ability, formal permission, and formal requests. May is even more formal and is used for permission, requests, and expressing probability. Might expresses possibility with less certainty than may. Shall is used for suggestions and rarely nowadays for future actions. Should or ought to is used for obligation from our own side, giving advice and expressing expectation. Will is used for future actions, predictions, promises, and polite requests. Would, the past form of will, is used for conditionals, polite offers, asking permission politely, making polite requests, and expressing preferences. Must expresses strong obligation, strong recommendation, and certainty. Must not is used for prohibition. And have to, along with had to, is used for present and past necessity. We also learned about past modal verbs like could have, would have, should have, must have, and may or might have. And that brings us to the end of this lesson on modal verbs. We have covered all the major modal verbs in English, including can, could, may, might, shall, should, will, would, must not, have to, and had to. We also learned about past modal verbs and how to use them. The best way to master modal verbs is to practice using them in your daily conversations. Try to use different modal verbs when speaking with friends, family, and colleagues. The more you practice, the more natural they will feel. Thank you so much for watching this lesson. Keep learning and keep improving your English. See you in the next lesson.